say, first of all, what an honor it is for me to be here. I'm addressing what will be the future leaders of China. I'm addressing also the Central School, which has traditionally been a place with great leaders like Chairman Mao, President Xi, Deng Xiaoping, who have addressed students. So I want to just say that this is really an honor. And I want to start by saying, why someone like me, when you heard about me playing cricket, why a cricketer ended up in politics? I just want to tell you, first of all, my beginnings in politics, and then I'll come to what is probably the most important thing for us, the relationship with China. The Pakistan-Chinese relationship, which for us, for Pakistanis, is the most important relationship. So before talking about it, I just want to talk about a cricketer who's played 22 years of international cricket. Why did he end up in politics? I was the first generation of Pakistanis who grew up in an independent country. My parents grew up in colonial India. My parents grew up when British ruled India. So I was the first generation of Pakistanis who grew up in an independent country. And we took great pride in our country. And when I was growing up, Pakistan was one of the fastest developing countries in Asia. Pakistan at one point was an example for the developing world. In the 60s, we had quality universities, we had the highest growth rate. Our first 5-year plan was emulated by South Korea, by Malaysia. Countries looked upon Pakistan as a model in the developing world. But unfortunately, as happens in the lifespan of countries, you go in cycles. Countries have ups and downs. So unfortunately, we lost our way. And what affected Pakistan, what stopped Pakistan from achieving its potential was one thing: corruption. Corruption of the ruling elite. The reason why countries are poor are not because they lack resources. The reason why countries are poor, because the corruption of the ruling elite destroys state institutions. And secondly, the money that should be spent on developing human resources gets diverted and goes into mega projects with mega commissions, with mega kickbacks. And the worst part of corruption is money laundering. Money that leaves the country. In my opinion, one of the biggest problems the world faces today is money laundering. Money laundering means money leaves poor countries and goes into rich countries. Money laundering means that despite all the aid given by rich countries to the poor countries, there is almost $1 trillion every year that leaves the developing world into developed world. And when money leaves the poor countries, it deprives that country of resources. It deprives the country of foreign exchange. They end up taking foreign loans. And who pays for the foreign loans are the people of the country through inflation, through higher prices. That's how they pay for the loans. So the poor get poorer and the rich get richer in poor countries, and the rich countries get richer and the poor countries get poorer. So Pakistan, unfortunately, after the mid-80s, started suffering from corruption. And our corruption quantumly grew. In mid-80s, I was playing cricket. I left cricket in 1992. And after that, I decided that I should come into politics to fight corruption. That's when I formed my party in 1996. The main plank of my party was to combat corruption. For 15 years, I struggled I had a very small party. No one took my party seriously. And the only reason I succeeded was because I learnt a very important lesson from sports. You only lose when you give up. And a champion is a champion who learns from his mistakes, who analyzes his mistakes and corrects them. So these two things made me last for 15 years when my party was very small. And then 7 years ago, suddenly people began to realize what I was talking about, corruption. Until then, no one took corruption as an issue. And then from 2011, exactly 7 years ago when I came to China as the head of my party, from then onwards, my party started growing. And today it is, I thank the Almighty, it is the biggest party in Pakistan, and we are in government now. Now, ever since we have been in power, which is 2 months, our main concern is to strengthen state institutions. The stronger the state institutions, the less the corruption. And second is poverty alleviation. You cannot have a society where there are only a small number of rich people and a sea of poor people. You cannot have a society with so much inequality and expect that you will progress. Now, this is where we admire China so much. My admiration for China is for one reason mainly. No country in human history has ever taken 700 million people out of poverty in 30 years, as China has done. This is, in my opinion, the greatest achievement a nation can achieve. 700 million people out of poverty. The steps taken to do that is what my party, my government is very interested in. What we hope to learn from China and with close contact with the government, with the Communist Party of China, this is what we hope to learn. All the steps taken to achieve a feat that no nation in human history has ever achieved. Secondly, corruption. Corruption is a problem because you can catch the common criminals, but catching the white-collar criminal is difficult because the white-collar criminal has resources. He can hire expensive lawyers, and the state struggles to deal with the white-collar criminal. So these are the two main things which we want to learn from the Chinese experience, but also cooperation in so many areas. The Western model is totally different. The Western model of development is totally different to the Pakistan experience as opposed to the Chinese model of experience. 30 years ago, Chinese GDP was the same as what Pakistan's GDP is today. And in 30 years, the way China changed itself, that in itself is something which I want Pakistani scholars to study, because it was not one thing China did, it was a series of things. But above all, it was the mindset of the Chinese leadership that decided that they did not want a country where there was unequal development. And all the steps that I've taken, and what I now, talking to President Xi, I found that the total number of people under the poverty line in China, 30 million. The objective now is to, in the next 5 years, have take all the people out of poverty. In Pakistan, this is really what we want. My party stands for two things. One, as I said before, institution building, and number two is taking people out of poverty. What China has offered us is a great opportunity. CPAC has come to Pakistan as a great blessing. It affords an opportunity, not just the connectivity with China, but the special economic zones of afford an opportunity for us to bring in investment. We need investment in Pakistan more than ever, because Pakistan, because of mismanagement and corruption, and of course last 15 years we have suffered because of the war on terror, Pakistan needs investment. We need investment because we have a current account deficit. So we need foreign investment, and China through CPEC has given us an opportunity to attract investment. And then all the meetings we have had with China, with the Chinese government, with Premier Li, with President Xi, have given us great encouragement that at this time, with cooperation with Chinese companies, with Chinese government, we will be able to, my government is confident that we'll be able to get out of our present crisis because of these opportunities afforded to us. We also feel that our relationship with China is not specifically in any one area. It's multi-dimensional. The way Chinese have dealt with the big urban city metropolis, the problems faced by that, we can learn a lot, because we also have growing urbanization in big cities, all the problems that come with urbanization, sewage system, waste disposal, the threat to the environment, pollution. We can learn more from China than any other country in the world. So, as I said, our relationship with China is going to be multidimensional. The love for China amongst the people of Pakistan is, ever since I can remember, it's not the government to government, but it's a people to people thing with China. People have strong love and affection for China. I was only 8 or 9 years old. My Foreign Minister Shah Mahmud Qureshi, we were both in the same school. So we still remember when Premier Chu En-lai came to Pakistan, and all of us stood outside our school with Chinese flags welcoming him. Ever since then, always China has had a special place in the hearts of people of Pakistan. Whenever we have been in need, China has been there to help us. The expression all-weather friend is true as far as Pakistan is concerned for China. And I can assure China that whenever we are needed, Pakistan will always be standing by our brothers. That's why we call Chinese our Iron Brothers. Finally, I would like to say that my delegation, and I have been given such great welcome in China. The love and affection we have seen, I just want to say.
Subscribe to our channel Pakilinks News. Also share and like the video.